Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're taking a close look at Rivian Automotive.
Ah, yes, Rivian.
We've gathered quite a bit of recent information analyst takes, their latest financials, news updates. Our mission is to really unpack what's most important for you to understand about them right now.
Okay, so fundamentally, Rivian is an electric vehicle manufacturer. Think the R1P pickup, the R1S SUV,
Right, those are the main ones out there now.
and they're also handling the software and services side of things, all centered around their big facility in Normal, Illinois.
Got it. Now, looking at the stock, the recent performance feels a bit like a puzzle, doesn't it?
It does present a mixed picture.
We've seen the year-to-date loss narrow a bit, which seems positive, and over the last 6 months, a pretty significant jump up.
True, there was that recovery.
But then more recently, it seems quite volatile. Early May 2025, the price was fluctuating, between roughly $12.85 and $13.97. How do we make sense of that?
Well, it helps to look at the bigger financial context. Over the trailing 12 months, Rivian pulled in about $5.01 billion in revenue.
Okay, that's a substantial number.
It is, but, and this is the key part, they also posted a net loss around $3.85 billion. So that translates to a negative EPS, earnings per share, of negative $3.66.
Still deep in the red on the bottom line, then.
Correct. Although, interestingly, their debt-to-equity ratio is 0.73. It's to just, they haven't over-leveraged themselves excessively.
A cautious approach to debt.
Seems like it.
Hmm.
But maybe the most compelling piece here is the positive free cash flow. $856 million.
Now, that is interesting. Positive free cash flow despite the net loss.
It is. And in the EV space, which is so capital intensive that's quite noteworthy, gives them a buffer potential for reinvestment.
More financial flexibility than the net loss figure alone might suggest.
That's a good way to put it. You could help them navigate future bumps in the road, maybe better than some others.
Okay, so that positive cash flow is definitely a point to remember. Let's zoom in on the first quarter of 2025. What jumped out from those results?
The biggest highlight, I'd say, was the gross profit, $206 million.
Gross profit positive.
Yes, and significantly, it's their second quarter in a row of positive gross profit, and actually their highest number so far.
That feels like a real milestone, moving past just revenue growth to actual profit on the vehicles themselves.
It's a crucial step. On the production side, they built 14,611 vehicles in Q1.
Okay.
And delivered 8,640 of the R1S and R1T models. Management said this was pretty much in line with what they expected internally, even with those ongoing supply chain issues we keep hearing about.
So hitting internal targets despite headwinds, getting into positive gross profit territory is huge. But are there still red flags or areas of concern for investors?
Oh, absolutely. The main ones remain the overall operating losses and the negative profit margins when you look at the whole picture.
Right. Gross profit is one thing, net profit is another.
Exactly. Achieving that overall profitability is still the mountain to climb. But, balancing that out, there are definite strengths.
Like the cash flow we mentioned.
Like the cash flow, and also their current ratio. It's very strong at 4.7. That indicates they have plenty of liquid assets to cover short-term debts.
Good liquidity, then.
Very good liquidity. So it's this mix. Progress on gross profit and liquidity, but still grappling with overall losses.
Okay. Now, one piece of news that definitely caught people's attention was the revised delivery forecast for the full year 2025. They lowered their guidance.
They did, and that's significant. It raises questions about their near-term growth path.
What were the old and new numbers?
They initially projected delivering between 46,000 and 51,000 vehicles this year. That's now been cut back to a range of 40,000 to 46,000.
That's a noticeable reduction. What's the reason they gave?
It mainly comes down to ongoing shortages, specifically components for their Enduro motor system. That seems to be the bottleneck.
And what's really critical to grasp here is that this revised forecast, the lower end especially, actually points towards a decline compared to last year's deliveries.
That's the tough part. A year-over-year decrease wasn't really what the market was hoping for.
No, definitely not. So a step back on deliveries is something investors will be scrutinizing. How did the market digest all this, and what are analysts generally saying?
Well, the analyst consensus right now seems to lean towards a hold recommendation. The average price target is hovering around $13.75.
So not overly bullish, not overly bearish, kind of a wait and see.
Pretty much. And public opinion, or, investor chatter online, is mixed too. Some see the recent price drops as maybe a buying opportunity.
Thinking long-term potential?
Perhaps. while others are much more cautious, pointing to the losses and now this lower delivery guidance.
And the stock price reflected that uncertainty.
It did. There was actually a positive bump on May 8th, right after the Q1 earnings came out.
Yeah.
And there was positive news on the R2 model progress. But then, the very next day, May 9th, when they announced the revised delivery forecast, the stock gave back those gains. It really shows how sensitive the market is to their production and delivery numbers right now.
That makes sense. So putting Rivian in context, how do they stack up against, the big players? Tesla, GM, the legacy automakers moving into EVs.
They're definitely in a tough competitive field. Tesla and GM obviously have much larger market shares.
Rivian's still a smaller niche player in comparison.
For now, yes. Their strategy seems focused on the premium end of the market with the R1 models. But a potential key differentiator looking forward is their Gen 2 platform.
Right, the next generation vehicles meant to be more mass market.
And crucially, designed to significantly lower their production costs. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Their stated goal is hitting profitability by 2027.
2027, so still a couple of years out.
Yes, and they'll need to show steady improvements in gross margin and EBITDA margin along the way. EBITDA being earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It gives a clearer view of operational profitability.
So tracking those margin improvements will be key indicators. Looking ahead then, what are the major catalysts or conversely, the risks that could really swing things for Rivian?
Several things to watch. The Gen 2 platform is huge, its successful launch, and how quickly they can ramp up production. That's critical for costs and profitability.
Makes sense.
Obviously, their upcoming earnings reports will continue to be scrutinized for progress.
Quarter by quarter updates?
Absolutely. And then there are broader factors like potential shifts in government EV incentives or environmental regulations. Those could impact the whole sector, including Rivian.
External factors always play a role. Now, you mentioned investment earlier. There was some significant news involving Volkswagen Group.
Yes, that's a really big one. Rivian is anticipating a $1 billion investment from Volkswagen.
$1 billion? That's substantial.
Very substantial. It is, however, contingent on Rivian hitting sustained profitability.
Ah, so there's a condition attached.
There is. And they expect it to be finalized by June 30th, 2025, assuming that condition is met. The money is earmarked mainly to help them scale up production.
For the R2 model, presumably.
Primarily for the R2, yes. It's a major vote of confidence from a legacy auto giant, assuming it goes through.
That would be a significant boost. Speaking of the R2, how is that development actually progressing? It seems so central to their future strategy.
It seems to be moving along. They're currently doing design validation builds.
Okay.
And importantly, they're using mostly production intent tooling for those builds, which is a good sign.
It means they're getting closer to the final manufacturing process.
Correct. And the factory expansion there in Normal, Illinois, which they need for R2, is apparently still on track for the first half of 2026. So tangible progress on that front.
Good to hear. But we keep coming back to it, the supply chain. It sounds like that remains a major headache.
It really does. The information consistently points to those constraints, especially for the enduro motor components we talked about.
Still the bottleneck.
It seems so. And it's directly impacting their ability to hit those higher delivery numbers they initially aimed for.
Yeah.
Solving these issues is pretty crucial for their growth plans.
No doubt. Finally, just stepping back, what's the sort of general vibe you get from, say, online investor forums or social media? Is it optimism, pessimism?
It mirrors the overall picture, I'd say.
Yeah.
Kind of a cautious optimism.
Okay.
People acknowledge the progress, especially on getting to gross profitability. That's seen as a positive step. But the lower delivery forecast definitely tempers enthusiasm. There's a lot of discussion, maybe some speculation about when these supply chain problems will actually get resolved.
So acknowledging progress, but wary of the near-term challenges.
That sums it up pretty well. You wouldn't want to base decisions solely on online chatter, of course, but it reflects the key questions people are wrestling with.
Understood. So wrapping this up, if you're trying to get a handle on Rivian right now, it's...
Well, it is. There's clear progress in really important areas. That positive gross profit is significant, and it unlocked that potential VW investment.
Which could be transformative if it comes through.
Absolutely. But at the same time, these near-term supply chain issues are real, and they're directly impacting deliveries this year. That's definitely something that needs careful monitoring.
It really highlights just how dynamic and challenging the EV market is right now. You have to look at multiple pieces of the puzzle.
You really do. things can change quickly.
So we definitely encourage you to do your own homework on this. You can check out Rivian's investor relations website, dig into their SEC filings for much more detail.
Always a good idea to go straight to the source documents.
Thanks for joining us for this analysis today. If you found this conversation helpful, please do subscribe, give us a like, and maybe leave a comment with your thoughts.